All right, guys, what's going on? We should be live. Just double checking some sound stuff here. Looks like we are good. Let's see. Okay. So what I'm going to do first of all, and again, if you have any questions, comments, anything like that, definitely leave those in the chat. I do have the slow mode on, but I only set it to 20 seconds, so it's basically just to stop any spam or anything like that. What's up, Andrew? How's it going? So that said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over what my thoughts were on the shareholder letter. Well, first of all, I want to apologize that I've been kind of quiet lately, been away, haven't done a lot of videos on Patriot One, even though we've been getting a lot of tweets and things like that. So I was on a family vacation. I kind of let you guys know that. I also changed my studio, as you guys can see. Looking at a new studio right now. We've been in the middle of a move and things like that. So let me know if you guys like it. I was using a green screen before, obviously. Now I'm just going with the studio, and when I share my screen, it'll look something like this. So I will be blocking a little bit more of the screen in the bottom, but let me know what you guys think, if you have any comments, suggestions, or whatever with that. But that's kind of been the main source of those delays, so just wanted to apologize for that, let you guys know what's kind of been going on. First of all, I'm going to go over what my thoughts were on the shareholder letter. I did do a post on this on my channel in the community tab, but in case you guys didn't see that, I'll go over a little bit of that. Wow, Stuart from Korea, thanks for tuning in, and from Denmark, Matthias, that's awesome. So really quickly, as far as the shareholder letter goes, so you guys can see kind of what I posted on the YouTube channel there. First of all, I'm going to go through the pros. So first pro are the demo days, and we've been seeing all of these kind of cryptic tweets from Peter. It's been kind of cool. I kind of like how he's been going about that, the tweets, and then on his LinkedIn page as well. Those demo days at the different stadiums, like they've been doing at the Browns Stadium, the NBA Summer League, those I think are going to be really nice, especially if we get attendance from, like Peter was saying in the letter, a lot of the other major leagues or the security reps from those leagues, and seeing those demos. That could be a big opportunity for Patriot to really showcase their product directly right to those customers. They get to see it in action, in an actual scenario that would be very similar to what they would be implementing at their stadium or venue. So that I think is going to be really nice, and hopefully those lead to some really good contracts. One more thing I want to mention on this, and credit to Dennis Hansen on the Facebook group, or one of the Facebook groups, for pointing this out. But the Browns Stadium specifically, and that was also kind of the main topic of a recent article that they just released, I think today, in one of the videos. They were going with Evolve earlier. So if you see in this article, this is from April of this year. They were going with Evolve as one of kind of their leading security technologies. And now obviously they're not maybe in a contract with Patriot One. They were just doing the demo at Browns Stadium there for that one preseason game. But if I'm completely happy with Evolve, I'm not demoing another, security company. I'm not demoing another security product. If I'm completely happy with that, why even do the demo? So even though we don't know for sure if they're actually going to purchase Patriot One's products or anything like that, I think it's really nice to see that they're doing that demo, especially since they were using Evolve before. And Peter had mentioned to me in some of the conversations that I've had with them before, oh, there's some stadiums, there's some customers that aren't really happy with Evolve, and they've been talking to us. And whenever a CEO says something about a rival company, you always got to take it with a grain of salt. But seeing this, at least it's giving some validity to what he's saying there, and it's always great to see company going with a competitor and then moving to, or at least testing out, Patriot One's product. So that's good to see there. That is really promising to me. Again, when you Put your questions in the chat. I will get to those in just a second. There's a couple more things that I want to go over, and then I'll get to all of the questions, answer any questions and things like that. So one more thing that I do want to go over before we get to that is the recent, well, a couple more things on the shareholder letter before we get to that. The selection of evaluation and installation at the federal headquarters. If you guys remember that from the shareholder letter, Peter mentioned that they were selected out of a testing group to be in a federal headquarters. They didn't say what building, what state, whatever. This could be the result of some of those talks with, remember they were talking with 3 states. He had mentioned that, I think, in 2 letters ago. As far as them being in talks with some government contracts with some states. I don't think that we're gonna see the revenue or any results from this for at least another quarter, maybe 2, because as everybody probably knows here, the federal government, speed is not their forte. And there's a ton of red tape that has to be, you know, worked around and things like that. So I don't think we'll see that very quickly, but what I do think that is going to allow them to do is once they're actually able to get set up, they finally get that installation done, that's going to open the door to a lot more government contracts now that, you know, they're approved by one. Same thing with, you know, if you get into one NFL stadium and it works out really well, there's probably other NFL stadiums looking to use your product if they see it going really well at another stadium. Same thing with government buildings. If you've gotten approved to be used in a government headquarters building, and the product works well, the building likes it, whoever the headquarters, that organization, they like it, there are going to be other federal organizations, other federal buildings looking to use your product. So I think if all of that goes well, it's going to take some time, but if all of that goes well, that could open the door up to a lot more opportunities there. The last pro that I want to go over is winning those 3 technology reviews or bake-offs that Peter kind of referred to them. I would like to know if Evolve was a part of any of those. That would have been nice to know. Maybe we'll kind of hear that in the webinar. I think Peter said the webinar is going to be in September. So maybe we'll hear about that. I'll definitely ask the question in the webinar if it comes to that. I'm not gonna email Peter about that, but I'll definitely put that in a question in the webinar. But it's great to see that they, you know, were in 3 bake-offs and they won all 3 of them. One thing that was interesting to me, if you guys watched Evolve, they have a YouTube channel as well, and their CEO, who's ironically also named Peter, their CEO talked about a bake-off. He used the same terminology that they were in, that they won, and it led to a contract. So that's interesting there. You know, again, it'll be interesting to see if we get any information about whether Evolve or Patriot One was in the same bake-offs and how they compared. But that was interesting to me. Now the cons, really there was only one con to me, but it was kind of a major con. There was only one order confirmed at the time of the shareholder letter, which was basically pretty much at the end of the quarter. So we got 4 contracts in, you know, the last quarter, and now we're really only getting 1 confirmed in this quarter, aside from the federal building, which, you know, like I said, is going to take time. So maybe you can say 2. So not that great, but we'll have to see with August coming up. A lot of the major sports leagues restarting, see if we get any contracts or kind of interest, especially after these demo days. So that's kind of the main thing I want to go over on that. And then the next thing I want to go over, there was some speculation around this video that Patriot One just put out, whether or not this was recorded a while ago and things like that. So they aren't wearing masks, but the advertisement there is for May 2020, which was, you know, if they're advertising for that, I don't, you know, it's got to be at least like March or April. That would be, you know, during the pandemic. I don't think it really matters too much. In my opinion, it was a pretty solid video. Did really good to kind of advertise, showcase the strengths of Patriot One and the weaknesses of you know, current technology. one of the things that was interesting to me, one, we get to see, okay, there are some, stadiums that they're obviously doing these videos at, so whether or not those stadiums are interested. But the other thing, and I don't think a lot of people caught this, is this one right here, the fourth or second from the right here. That is showing kind of a red light, green light configuration that Patriot One hasn't had, but Evolve does have. And there was kind of some talk. I know some of the Evolve salesmen, when I was at the demo in Vegas, they're like, oh, well, they don't have it. It makes it a lot easier for security guards and whatnot. And Peter had mentioned they were working on some kind of major improvements or additions, if you will, to the MSG product, and we should see those a little later on. This might be hinting at that. It seems pretty clearly a red light, green light, obviously the no gun symbol underneath there. So if we're looking at that, that is one thing that could be good there. I think from a security personnel standpoint, if you're sitting there and you just see the red light, it's really easy to go, okay, red light, I can grab that person, rather than having to wait and see for on your tablet or whatever you're looking at, see the person and then, okay, try to look for that person. If you see that red light, you can kind of see who just walked through, and then you see the image show up on your tablet. It's kind of a good double a redundancy there that allows security personnel a little bit more, one, early detection, because that red light's probably going to go off before the image loads, and two, just kind of in case they get kind of lulled to sleep when they're going through there, that red light, green light's kind of really easy to watch, even if you get kind of bored watching a bunch of people walk through. So that's kind of the main things that I got from that. So if you guys have any questions on any of that or anything from the demo, I know I had said I was going to do a live stream pretty early on after the demo, in case you guys had any questions from that, the demo in Vegas at ISC West. So if you guys have any questions related to that as well, we do have one question. Jeff Lansing, what are your financial projections? So I don't, it's really hard at this point to make financial projections. For this coming quarter, it really depends on what that one customer that they signed was. Peter did say, I think it was a small customer in the shareholder letter. I am working on, and I'll probably show this to you guys maybe after the next earnings report or after the webinar, once I can kind of solidify the numbers a little bit more. I have a whole spreadsheet that I'm working on where I'm really trying to nail down how much Patriot One is charging for all of these things, and kind of what the potential revenue or annual revenue would be from, let's say, an NFL stadium, an NHL arena, a soccer arena, a casino, things like that. I'm kind of using little hints that I've gotten here and there from the earnings report, things Peter has said in the webinars where he talked about those first contracts, some of them being as many as 6 MSG lanes, some of them being 2, some had VRS, some didn't. So I'm kind of using kind of deductive reasoning to try and break down exactly how much the MSG and the VRS and things like that might cost, and kind of what the revenue coming in would be from those. I have pretty much zero idea at the moment what the profit potential is for any of those, because we haven't actually seen any revenue come in from the contracts, and we don't know also how they're going to amortize the product. So just to give you guys a heads up on this, I'm going to kind of be watching the next earnings report, but if you guys don't know what amortization is, basically it costs a certain amount for Patriot One to make the MSG towers, right? And to install the product. So there's an upfront cost for Patriot One to install that, right? Same thing, for example, for Tesla, right? There's an upfront cost for them to manufacture that car. Let's say it costs them $25,000 to manufacture that car, and then they sell it to the customer for $50,000, right? Well, most companies, they don't just write off that entire cost of the car in that quarter, right? What they'll do is they'll spread it out over time, or they'll maybe kind of a bad example there with a car, but let's say the machinery to make the car. They obviously had to build the factory, put in the machinery, and if they wrote all of that cost off in that one quarter, they would take a loss in that quarter. It would look really bad, but it's a one-time cost, it's upfront. So what they'll do is they'll spread that cost out over the quarter. So we don't know if Patriot One is going to write off that cost this first quarter, and there will be a big cost, and then the next quarters will be like super high margin, high profit after that, or if they're going to kind of spread the cost over that 3-year contract that they have with those customers. So that'll be interesting to see, but I am working on that spreadsheet. I think I'm pretty close on the estimates, but the reason I haven't showed it to you guys is really I want to make sure that I'm fairly accurate. I don't want to like be really off when I'm showing this to you guys, and it's a lot of guesswork and a lot of kind of deductive reasoning. So I really want to make sure that it's as good as I can make it as far as my predictions before I actually show you guys. So probably show you guys that spreadsheet either after the webinar or after the next earnings report, once I get a little bit more information on that. Let's see, we got a few more questions coming in. It's going to be a while before sales pick up. Let's see. Did I hear a rumor? Spent an hour with Peter Evans over the course of the Vegas convention. Rumors are MSG 2.0. Oh, I did see that. I don't know how accurate that is because Peter didn't say that to me, Andrew. And so I wouldn't be surprised because he did say that in the fall there were going to be some kind of improvements, like I was talking about the red light, green light, and maybe other things like that that could be coming. So that might be in the versions, but as far as like improvements in the actual detection of objects, I don't know specifically about that. And I don't know about the NASDAQ. That's something that is kind of completely up in the air. I don't want to make any predictions on that. One thing also, Joshua, on the financial predictions, was that Joshua or Jeff? Sorry, Jeff, on the financial predictions. As far as next quarter, as far as this last quarter, what they're going to report, I will probably make a video of what I kind of really think about that. One thing to keep in mind there is we did have one customer, I believe, based on kind of what my analysis was of the earnings report, that will be paying up front. So we'll probably have at least $500,000 Canadian in this next quarter's earnings report, because I think one of those contracts, about $500,000 was paid up front, and then we'll also get the revenue from extract and the other subscriptions. So we're probably looking, I'd say over 800,000 in revenue for the coming report that we're going to get for this quarter that just ended. So that's what I'm looking at right now, but I'll give you guys probably some updated, more accurate numbers of what I'm kind of predicting a little later on. Let's see what other people are saying here. It seems the stock is hold. Yeah, I totally agree, Jeff, on the it seems like the stock is on hold. Everybody's waiting for revenues. Everybody's looking to see what is coming on the reports. I think another thing to keep in mind with this stock especially, there's been a lot of people that are still in the stock, myself included, that have been watching the company or even been invested in the company for several years. Not several years, but at least four years or so. And they've heard all the hype. They're kind of desensitized to it. and really they're not going to make any more moves until they see, the hard numbers in the report. You can say all you want, oh, we got, this prospect and that prospect and whatnot. Peter could talk about that all he wants, and I don't think it would move the stock at all. Most of the people in the stock aren't going to make any major moves based on, prospects or possible contracts or things like that. They want to see the actual results. So I think really this stock isn't going to move until we see some major actual results. Let's see, anything else? Would require a lot of share price. I think so, Joshua. I could be wrong when you're talking about the share price increase to get to the NASDAQ. Again, I don't want to make too many predictions or projections on this. I could be wrong, but I think based on the requirements for the NASDAQ, the share price would have to be higher, but Patriot, I believe, again, I could be wrong in this, but I believe they're well above the market cap requirement. I think the market cap requirement is only like I don't really want to make any. I think the market cap is high enough to where they could do a reverse split and get the share price high enough. Again, I could be wrong on that, but I'll have to double check that. But there might be the case. I had a discussion with Dietmar before he left. He said MSG 2.0 would be released before year's end. Okay, that could be true. Again, I don't know exactly what MSG 2.0 will look like. I don't think any of us really know right now. If you guys do, send me a message. I'd want to see proof, but I'd be interested to see what MSG 2.0 and MSG 3.0 would look like. Would you like a reverse split just to get it NASDAQ? That's a good question. I think the NASDAQ would allow some more publicity. Like Evolve, right? Evolve is getting, I would say, arguably a lot of publicity from their recent listing, their recent SPAC merger. Now, there are a lot of costs involved in listing on the NASDAQ, or on the New York Stock Exchange. So it really depends on that situation and what the cost-benefit ratio is. I think eventually down the road, definitely it's worth it to get on the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, because there are a lot of investment banks and hedge funds and things like that who it's kind of in their policies that they don't even touch OTC stocks. They just have that agreement, and that kind of builds some trust with their investors, because their investors are like, you putting us in this risky, these risky stocks. They a lot of times don't even touch anything unless it's listed on the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange. So listing on one of those major exchanges would open them up to a lot more investment opportunities and things like that from those big investment banks, institutions. Obviously, Patriot One right now has little, if any at all, institutional investors. So to get that listing, I think would open them up. Now again, it's not to say it's going to be a huge boost for the stock. You just look at Evolve's, and obviously Evolve is different than Patriot One. Evolve stock is down like 25% from their IPO price just in the last month. They only IPO'd about a month ago. So there's no guarantees that it's really going to boost the stock price. Whether it would be good long-term for the company, again, Evolve's only listed for just a month. I think it would be, but it just depends on what time and how we do that. I think I've got most of the questions on here. Again, if you have any more questions, any more comments, things you want me to cover, leave them in the chat. There was a lot of people asking about this on the Facebook group and talking about things like that. I did ban Kevin Garski from the YouTube channel and one of Carl's YouTube accounts. I know he has a couple. I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin does as well. Kevin, if you're watching, you know, it wasn't anything personal. I gave you a lot of opportunities. I've had, you guys haven't seen it, but I've had actually a lot of in-depth conversations with Kevin on my personal Facebook, on Facebook Messenger, and it just got to the point where, you know, there was so much just, you know, huge speculation and no kind of regard for the facts that I just kind of had to do that. So that is, I just wanted to let you guys know that. Let's see. Yeah, I think we've gone through all the questions. You know, that's kind of the main things that I wanted to cover. As far as what I think about the stock right now, like I said, I don't think it's going to move until we see some major numbers. So it's kind of in like this holding pattern right now. The the 40 cent level, I wish it was at $40, right? The 40 cent level is pretty much been this kind of magnet that it's just been sticking to. It goes up a little bit above it, goes down a little bit below it. 40 cent level, obviously for those of you that are you know, on the Canadian exchange, the 50 cent level kind of similar there. So I think it's really going to stick around there until we see some numbers. You know, it could move potentially with the webinar coming up. If there's some major announcements, there could potentially be some contracts that they've gotten from these demo days. Hopefully that's the case. But again, even if those contracts are announced, I think we're going to want to wait to see, at least myself, before I make any moves. I'm going to want to wait to see the numbers in the earnings report. My cost basis right now is just under 40 cents. I've done a lot of buying when it's in the mid to low 30s to get that down. Originally, it was much higher than that. But with that said, you know, it's really not beneficial for me to buy any more unless it's below like 35 cents on PTOTF. So that'd be like below 45 cents or so for you guys in Canada. So that's kind of, you know, what I'm looking at. Probably not going to do any buying unless it, you know, dips below that. Unless, again, we see some good numbers. So that's kind of my thoughts. Let's see. Wait, we got one more question here. What's your take on the job opportunities offered at Patriot One lately? You know, I think job postings are always a good thing. If you're hiring, that means you have work that needs to be done, right? So it's never a bad thing to look at a company that is putting out new job postings. If they're putting out new job postings, that means they have work that needs to be done and they need to hire people to do it. If you're a business and you have work that needs to be done, that usually means you're making money somehow. So, or you're having customers that are paying for that work. So that's my thoughts on that. So I think I'll finish it up here, guys. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks for tuning in to watch, especially those of you guys from other countries. That's really cool. Thanks for tuning in to watch. And I will see you guys next time. You can always send me a message on Twitter or Facebook. I usually respond to those. I'm pretty good about those really quickly. But other than that, we'll be waiting for the webinar coming in September, and hopefully we'll hear some good things. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you guys later. Have a good one.